And usually that's the rule. The males are the bananas, the females are the non-bananas, but not in this collection. And you can see she is just gorgeous. Wow, there's the cover shot right there. What's up, snake fans? Dave Palumbo here for Muscle Serpents Daily. The sun is setting here in Cape Coral, and we did a little bit of a late video today, but we got it done. I wanted to go in and I wanted to show you some of my really cool yearlings that are on my holdback rack that might not necessarily be holdbacks, things that I might be selling, but things I might be keeping, and showing you some really cool genes and combinations of stuff that I'm kind of excited about that I produced over a year ago and that are growing up. And once again, those are the snakes I told you I put in the rack. You feed them every week and you let them grow. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. And to be honest with you, I haven't even decided what snakes I'm going to show you yet. So I'm going to kind of go by feel. Let's go into the snake room and take a look. All right, cricket feeding time here for the bearded dragons. And the reason the crickets are white is because I just dusted them with calcium. So they got a lot of calcium on it. Help the bearded dragon with his bone density. They got some vitamin D in there too. And he's going to town. Oh, we got one more cricket. A couple more crickets. Here, hold on. Okay, there we go. I think we got them all out. All right, munch down. It's like eating potato chips. You can't just get one. You got to eat more than one. Little water monitor training, 101. This is our female. And they're doing good. You know, I open up the cage now, they're pretty cool. I'm able to touch them. And she was really skittish originally. And I even have a camera in her face and I'm talking through the camera and she's not freaking out. So that's a good sign. Probably if I go to pick her up, she'll probably skedaddle, but it's okay. You just want to have these nice positive like threads, and then close the door. And this is the last thing to remember, is a nice calm interaction. All right, I want to show you some cool grow-ups, potentially for sale, ball pythons. And this is our banana champagne that's possibly yellow belly and Enchi as well. I think it's probably, the Enchi may not be Enchi, I'm not sure though. And it's het pied and het hypo. So it's double het hypo pied. As you can see, whenever you have champagne, we've discussed this in the past, champagne het pieds look pied a lot of times. And the difference between a champagne het pied and a champagne pied is, here's a champagne pied. So that's a banana champagne pied, and it's completely white. So the champagne with 2 copies of pied usually yields a really beautifully white snake. The banana adds a little, you can see the little red tinge in the eyes, that's the banana in there. And this is also possibly yellow belly Enchi, and it is 100% het hypo. So banana het pied champagne, banana champagne pied. Pretty cool, right? And they're both males, and I think I might make them both available. I've been growing them up. They're a year old now, and I really love these. I love this clutch that I had toward the end of last year, and so I'm a white snake guy, and I just love the look of this guy, and I love the look of this one too. So I didn't know what to do, but if anyone, if anyone's interested, reach out. Now, just to give you an idea of what this would look like without the banana, this is a champagne and what I believe to be Enchi het pied. So you can see with the Enchi het pied, it almost doesn't even look pied. It doesn't even look as white. So the pied is not as dramatic, and that's because Enchi puts more pattern back into pieds. Now remember, once again, champagne het pied looks like pied. So you have to pretend this is, with a normal, if this was a normal snake, 2 copies of pied, this would be like an Enchi pied, but with champagne, it's gonna look, the 1 copy of pied is gonna look like a visual pied. So this is champagne Enchi het pied. And once again, you can see that the champagne has that little black head. It has a little bit more shadowy stuff going on in it. And some people like this better. Some people prefer this. Some people prefer the banana because it's cleaner looking. But I kind of almost like this. It's got more contrast in it. And you can see the black tones in here, which are kind of cool. So champagne is an interesting gene because it does interact very unusually with the Pied gene. Here's a beautiful female I have from last year. This is a Super Hurricane Hypo. I think it's Enchi too. It's very hard to tell Enchi with Super Hurricane and Hypo. Sometimes you can make mistakes. So I always say it's probably Enchi. And this is 100% het rainbow. This is a female, so she's a year old, and I've been growing her up. Once again, I'm really deep into the rainbow project, the Super Hurricane Rainbow project, which I call the Ultraviolet project. So this is something that I know a lot of people have been buying stuff off me recently because they wanted to get into this project. Here's another opportunity with a female that's a year old. So I haven't really listed her, but I probably would sell her if someone really wanted her. Let me see what else I got here. This is actually a Super Hurricane Hypo Enchi Rainbow. So this is a visual rainbow. This is a female, and I haven't decided if I'm going to keep her yet. She might be available too. She'll obviously be a little more expensive than this one because she is actually the visual form of that. So really, really beautiful. I call this the Ultraviolet. And once again, you got the two copies of the Hurricane with the Enchi, the Hypo gene, which is another recessive, and the visual rainbow here. So nice female, both females I should say, one with rainbow, one without. And then here's a nice male from that same clutch that we could pair up with one of those females if you were interested. Once again, also a year old, because same clutch. This is a single copy Hurricane with the Hypo gene, with what I believe to be the Enchi gene in there, and this is 100% het rainbow. So you can go with the two hets, you can go with this het and the visual female, and you could produce your own ultraviolets, which would be the Super Hurricane Enchi Hypo rainbows. Beautiful project. These three snakes right here, I've been, like I said, growing them up. Wasn't sure if I was going to keep them or not. I did produce a few more visual rainbows that I'll probably keep, and I still have some triple het projects that I'm growing up. So I think I will make these three available. I'm not going to put them on Morph Market right now, so if anyone is interested, you're going to have to reach directly out to me. A lot of people ask me about black pastel pies because you know that I love black pastel pies. I love super black pastel pies. You've met it. Those are known as panda pies, which I can show you my panda girl a little later. This is a beautiful, beautiful female black pastel pie. Very high white, I should say, low pattern. And I've been growing her up. She's a year old now too, and I think I'm going to make her available because I do have a lot of panda pied stuff. Well, not a lot, but I have a decent amount that I'm keeping back already. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with her. I had her in the whole back rack here, but if anyone is interested in the panda pie project, this girl is, like I said, well started. She's from June of 22, and she would make a good breeder. If you want to get into the panda pie project, you'd obviously have to get something else that's got black pastel and at least het pied in it as well. If you wanted to, I could probably pull something out of my collection if you're looking for a male as well. But this female, certainly, if you want to get started, start growing her up, she's spectacular. All right, now here's a beautiful visual clown female that, once again, I had in my holdback rack because I just thought she looked really unusual. She just looked like more than a clown. She has a lot of she almost looked like a hurricane clown to me. And I don't think it was possible given the genetics of the parents. So, but I held her back anyway. And once again, I'm trying to thin out the herd a little bit because I have a lot of animals. And so if anyone's interested in this beautiful, well-started female, today she's actually a year old. Imagine that. It's her birthday. And once again, visual clown, which is nice because you can get stuff right into her in the first generation. Probably next year she'll be ready to go if you feed her well. She's a very good eater, and You know, and it's one of the tricks I always tell people is when you get an animal, a lot of times the biggest mistake you can do with ball pythons is you put them in too big of a tub when you first get them, or too big of an enclosure, and then they stop eating. They get scared for some reason. They like small little containers. This is not a big container at all. And they like it when it's tight. Ball pythons eat better when they're not in a big container. I don't know why. Once they get to a certain age, they don't care. Then you can put them in anything and they'll eat. But for some reason, when they're growing up, they do well in smaller situations. So if you have a hatchling rack and you buy a snake that's, you know, maybe a little, I mean, this snake could definitely move up to a bigger tub. But I don't want to lose the eating advantage I have right here with the snake. It's doing so well. It's progressing. I would keep it in this until it just doesn't fit anymore, and then I would move it up to the next biggest size. I wouldn't go huge. I would go like from this, I'd probably go to a V35, like this, and then from that I would go to my V70, which is, you know, usually where we keep our, you know, adult females. So I wouldn't just go to a big V70 like this, because I think that could be a mistake. Also, if you notice, these V70s they're not clear, so a lot of times they do better in darker, you know, where they can't see out of the container. So once again, it's kind of a personal preference, but once again, I keep them usually, like I said, in a hatchling rack as long as I possibly can. Speaking of spectacular 1-year-olds, here's a Super Orange Dream Enchi Banana Leopard Yellow Belly Pied, that's also possible head hypo. I have a red star next to this, which usually means that I'm going to keep it. There is a possibility that I might sell it, but more than likely it'll probably remain here because of the Super Orange Dream aspect of it with the leopard in there. And I just, you know, I just like this male. I mean, I have really good breeder males, but you got to have backup, you know, sometimes. And you can tell, usually, you know, this has a little bit more pattern than a normal pied, and probably that's the Enchi in there. But this snake completely changed. When it was born, it was like really purplish looking because, you know, the banana. And banana kind of changes as it gets older, but it's still really clean. It has almost no speckles on it because of the Super Orange Dream, because of the Enchi. All those genes clean up everything. And even yellow belly to a certain degree cleans up. So, and look at that head, that head stamp. Really interesting looking. So this will probably be something that stays here, but just a really, unless I get an offer I can't refuse, but really nice male. All right, speaking about pieds, here's a different clutch that we produced in March, actually, of 22. So these are even a little older. They're about a year and a half old. They're more developed. Obviously, this is a branchy Super Orange Dream Yellow Belly Banana Leopard Pied. So this is another one that potentially will remain here. So obviously can't keep them all. He's just soaking himself. Probably he's going into shed, but really beautiful. Once again, the really interesting head stamp on these guys. And you can see this one has a little bit more. So I'm actually wondering if this might not be Super Orange Dream. I'm pretty sure it is. When it was born, it was like blisteringly orange, you know, but sometimes it's in shed, so it might not be as vibrant as it normally is. But these are very valuable pieds. I'll tell you why, because they are packing so many genes in them, and especially when you have like a super. You know what? I see the pinched head, but I'm not so sold on the Super Enchi because it's a lot of white in here. I have a feeling it's just one copy of Enchi. But you know, when they're born, it's hard to tell, you know, because they're so vibrant. And the value is that when you breed these things to anything hepide or pied, you get a lot of really, really good babies because they're so packed with genes. But you know, the drawback to this is that, you know, you could make mistakes on genes, because if you have 6 genes in an animal, you might have missed one. You might think you have a super form of one, you might not. So when I sell things, I always sell them as possible supers, because unless I'm absolutely, you know, positive, or like both parents are supers or something like that, because you know what, you're better off under promising people and over delivering, because then they're happy, you know. And you know, Ozzy's from Ozzy Boyd's, he does something interesting, which I really respect, is that he tells everyone, I don't guarantee genes anymore. I can give you my best guess, and he's an under-promiser, over-producer for sure. I've bought a lot of snakes from him back in the day, and I've always got more genes than he sold them to me for. So I think that's a good way to go, to be honest with you. I hate these. You know, the only thing I don't like about the cocoa blocks is that they get these little flea-like things, these little gnats that come with the cocoa. And but if you can deal with that, because these things hold really nice moisture, the snakes shed really well, and they do well with the cocoa blocks. I am kind of liking them. The only thing I don't like I said, is you get a little bit of gnats here and there. There's little crawly things. They don't bite or anything like that. They're just like annoying, and I think once again they come with the cocoa blocks. They're in there already. Now this is absolutely super enchy because it's a visual pied, and it has almost no pattern. It's got the pinched head. There's leopard in here. It's got orange dream in here. I say possible super orange dream. I don't think so. It's a visual pied. It's also possible head hypo. This is a female, and with some nice size. You know, this is something that will probably stay here. She's really, really cool. I like in my females low white pieds like this, because you know that whatever she produces, they're gonna, if they're not gonna be completely white, or you're not gonna lose all your pattern. And leopard pieds are really very high white pieds usually, but the fact that there's 2 copies of Enchine here enables this leopard pied to have almost, no visual white on top. It's all on the bottom and creeping up the sides here. I just, for some reason, I like the way this looks a lot. This is like a really cool look for my tastes and my likes. So this is a very valuable female, and she's ready to leave this rack pretty much. She's got maybe another month or 2 in here, and then she's going to a bigger rack. All right, now this is another clutch mate to the ones I just showed you. Now this is very rare, and it's very valuable, and I'll tell you why. Because it's actually a female banana, possible super orange dream, possible super enchy, leopard pied with yellow belly, more than likely just the jagged patterning here. Also possible head hypo. This is, the reason it's so valuable is because this is a male maker clutch. So meaning that all the bananas are males, all the non-bananas are females, except this one, and there's always an exception to every rule. Like I said, there's something known as gene crossover that occurs, and so even with male maker bananas that only make males, you can still get a female every once in a while. And I've produced a couple of them, and I know other people have too, but so this is a little more valuable. But this is, I think it's super enchy. It's got a nice pinched head. It's very orangey too, so I think it's super orange dream. I think this is definitely not leaving here. I really believe this is visual super orange dream, super enchy, yellow belly, banana, leopard pied. So once again, low white because of the enchy or super enchy, whichever is in there. And she's a female, so this is really cool to have a female was produced from a male maker. And females can throw males or female bananas, so that's what makes them more valuable. A lot of the banana breeders out there, the pieds, banana pieds and stuff like that, are male makers. But once again, there's nothing written in stone, because when genes cross over, which is when you produce the sex gametes in males and females, and then you produce they get fertilized. What happens is genes jump. It's called gene crossover. They jump back and forth from the chromosomes, and that's what mixes things up, and that's what makes each generation more vigorous than the generation before, because of this gene crossover. I remember when I took genetics and biology, they made such a point of that. Gene crossover is so important for the continuation of a species. Otherwise, there's just too much inbreeding, and you get traits that are just not functional anymore. And so gene crossover is really important. And gene crossover can happen with any gene. And when we're talking about a sex-linked gene like the banana gene, when you have gene crossover, you can switch from male to female in the babies. But if you look at the rest of the clutch, the female I showed you before, which was a non-banana, was a female, and the other one was a male, which was a banana. And usually that's the rule. The males are the bananas, the females are the non-bananas, but not in this clutch. And you can see she is just gorgeous. Wow, there's the cover shot right there. That is a really beautiful female pied. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today here at Palumbo's Pythons and Boas. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And, you know, I try to put a little science in every video, and it's interesting. The banana gene, and I've talked about this in previous videos, but not everyone watches every single video I do. The banana gene is interesting because it's what's known as a sex-linked gene, meaning that its expression, phenotypically, what it looks like, okay, that purple-looking banana, you know, that we see, also happens to coincide with the sex of the snake. So we have male making bananas, which means it's a male that carries the banana gene on the sex chromosome, the Y chromosome. Snakes are just like humans. They have X and Y chromosomes. X is the female, Y is the male. And if that male breeds and gives his Y chromosome to another male, it has the banana gene on it. So you're gonna get a banana. So usually when male maker bananas breed, most of the babies, 99.9% of them, are male bananas. You know, that would mean that the X chromosome, okay, I should say, and so that should mean if the male gives his X chromosome to the female and you get an XX, which would be a female, it has to be a non-banana because the banana male maker carries that banana gene on the male chromosome, on the Y. And the Y is what dictates whether you have a male or female. So if you have two X's, you have a female. If you have an X and a Y, you have a male. The male is the only thing that has a Y, so the male will dictate what the sex of the baby is. Now, you also have female makers. So if the male's X chromosome carries the banana gene, anytime he breeds, if he gives an X chromosome, which would mean that you would have an XX or a female being produced, all the babies would be female bananas. And then all the males that he would produce from his Y chromosome would be non-bananas. However, there's a phenomenon that I talked about during the video known as gene crossover. So when everything is, you know, going on and the breeding is happening, sometimes genes jump from one area to another. So sometimes that banana gene might not be on that Y chromosome, it might jump to the X chromosome. And it happens, and it's what's responsible for creating a more vigorous animal. The fact that genes don't stay in the same place all the time. When like males are producing their sperm and females are producing their eggs, you can get this what's called gene crossover going on. And then when those animals breed, you get an anomalous, so you get one animal that just doesn't apply to the rules. And that's what we saw. We saw a female banana pied that should have not existed because we should have only seen male bananas in that clutch, but we didn't because of gene crossover. And so that's exciting. It's kind of cool. It was unexpected. And that's probably why I'll be keeping that female because she's very valuable. So having said that little genetics lesson, I'll refer you back in the comments, or you should see, maybe I'll post the video of the video I did where it explains the banana gene and how it's sex linked. I did do one of those. I thought it was a really good video. And if you're a little confused and you want to get a little more clarity, check that out. If you like what you're seeing and you're enjoying these videos, show us the love. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, hit that like button. I'll see you back tomorrow morning.